Hey guys, thank you for this opportunity. Let's see. How do I get this thing to advance? Oops. Cool. All right, so the title of our presentation today, which I hope you'll enjoy, is called What Can Behavioral Economics Teach Airlines About Boosting Profits? So we're going to talk about a couple of unexpected ideas, and I'm going to hope to tie these things together and convince you that they all help airlines boost their profits. So quick intro to myself. My name is Azim. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Volantio. Prior to that, I served as head of strategy at Jetstar and as a project leader with the Boston Consulting Group. I also have 3 kids who occupy a lot of my time. Volantio is the global leader in transforming passenger flexibility into profit. We're trusted by some of the biggest names in travel, including Air Canada, Alaska Airlines, Qantas, Volaris, and others. And we also work with Disney, so we've actually also branched outside of the airline space. And we're backed by industry-leading investors and technology partners. So we've been backed financially by Alaska Airlines, JetBlue, Amadeus, IAG, and Qantas, along with technology partnerships with Amadeus and Pros. So the summary of today's presentation, if you decide to walk out right now, which I hope you won't, is that behavioral economics can teach us a lot about how to convince people to change their behavior in unexpected ways. But this matters really for airlines because a surprisingly high number of passengers can be flexible with their travel plans if they're approached in the right manner. Passenger flexibility is powerful because it helps airlines both run a smoother operation and drive higher profits, but airlines have to know how to harness this effectively to power their success. So our real heroes for today are going to be 2 titans in the field of economics and influence. The first is Richard Thaler, who won a Nobel Prize in 2017, and the second is Robert Cialdini, who's a psychologist, is a world-renowned psychologist. So I'm going to take you guys through 3 lessons. Stick with me here, both from psychology and economics, to try to teach you guys and hopefully teach some of the things that I've learned over the last few weeks. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. You got to stick with me here, though. The first is the lesson of the splash. Now, there's a lot of guys in the room here. I'm sure you're all more than familiar with this. It's a major challenge in millions of bathrooms around the world, not just in men's rooms, but in other folks' places as well. Now, right here at Schiphol Airport, you probably didn't know this. A man, I probably can't pronounce his name correctly, Joos van Bedaf. It's probably not the right way to pronounce his name. I'm not Dutch. He came up with a novel idea to solve this challenge, which is to try to influence people to help them to aim better. And the idea was to etch a small fly into the urinal. Now, you guys might think this is crazy, and what the hell does that have to do with aviation? But like I said, you got to stick with me today. The reality is that this little change, which meant giving folks somewhere better to aim, reduced splashing by 80%. Now, I don't know how he measured this, but I'm taking it as face value. It also led to an 8% reduction in cleaning costs. It's been copied all around the world. T4 in JFK has the same thing, and it's pretty interesting to see where this has gone. But it all started right here. Now, the second lesson is about how to influence would-be criminals to deter vandalism and improve civic pride. So we're going to go to London for this one, the former home of the World Aviation Festival. So as many of you guys know, probably, that in 2011, there was some severe rioting and riots happening in London. And the government there was assessing various measures. The first was more police, but that's expensive to add a lot more police onto the streets. The second was more surveillance. Again, this is a challenge because it's much more intrusive. But they came up with a much more novel solution, which again is incredible. What they did was very simple. They painted the faces of little kids, of babies, on the shutters of all these stores in this high violence area. The project was called Babies of the Borough, and it was intended to evoke a sense of emotion and make folks feel very personal about this area. This was sponsored by the global advertising firm Ogilvy and Mather. And there's a great quote: neuroimaging research suggests that images of babies' faces can stimulate parts of the brain associated with more caring behavior. The quote goes on, which I can let you read. But the initiative had an amazing outcome. When I was doing my research for this presentation and I found this, it was just stunning. For less than 50% of the cost of one police officer, they were able to reduce crime by 24%, improve civic pride, and really improve a sense of satisfaction for these shop owners. And you could see this one shop owner said, "I wish we could keep the shutters down and open the shop at the same time." It's a pretty interesting outcome. The last lesson, which I wanted to talk about quickly, was how to influence through reciprocity. Interesting example. How can the idea of reciprocity influence the amount someone will tip a server? So Robert Cialdini, the psychologist, he did an experiment. And the experiment was looked at sort of a baseline and then 3 cases. The first scenario was obviously no candy was left with the check. The second was the waiter left 1 piece of candy with the check. The second was he left 2 pieces of candy with the check, and this is per person. And then the final one was that he left 1 candy, but as he was walking away, he turned around and left a second piece of candy. Now I was pretty shocked when I saw the results here. I'm not sure what you guys are all expecting to see. Actually, Henry, why don't I cold call you? How much do you think somebody tipped extra if they got a second piece of candy? 5%. All right, cool. We'll see. So one candy drove 3% increase in tip. 2 candies drove a 14% increase in tips, which was pretty incredible. Now, what about I leave you 1 candy, and as I'm walking away, I come back and give you a second piece of candy? What do you think that number's going to be? It's actually 23. Henry said 20, it was actually 23. So a really dramatic increase. So what the lesson here is that the way a benefit is given is sometimes a lot more important than the benefit itself. And for reciprocity to work best, to lead to the most effective ability to influence, the gift should be meaningful, unexpected, and tailored to the individual receiving it. And by the way, there's a very, very fine line between being manipulative and influencing here, which is also part of his study, if you read the study in its entirety. Now, getting back to airlines, influence matters a lot for airlines because a surprisingly high number of passengers could be flexible with their travel plans. And our research has shown it could be up to about 80%, right? And just hearing Tito, what you're talking about offer and order, this is directly, that's not what we do, but it's very relevant to that as well. And this allows airlines to solve large historical challenges, modernizing commercial overbooking, dynamically increasing supply on peak flights to increase profits, mitigating demand volatility and unreliable demand forecasts, and better adjusting to operational overbooking. So all of these things can be addressed through finding flexibility in travelers' plans. But how do airlines actually unlock this flexibility? How do they construct profitable offers? How do they deliver it in the right way, similar to that example from the waiter? On what flights, what dates, what O&Ds, what compensation offers? What language do you use to actually influence people's behavior, right? And how should you approach someone with the highest likelihood to convert? All of these things actually matter because ultimately they drive the conversion rate and the ability to actually influence people to be flexible. So these are the core questions, honestly, where we've been focusing over the last 7 years, and they're the ones that airlines really have to be good at mastering. And I always like to end, I'm hopefully a little bit ahead of schedule here, with an example. So this is obviously a fake airline. This was for a real airline, but we had to redact the airline's name. So we changed one tiny phrase in here, and it drove a $5 million annualized increase in profit, just from that one little change. And again, any airline who does extensive A/B testing on their booking flow, they all know this, that little changes can lead to massive differences and outside results. So the recap for today, I hope you guys will remember, is that economics can teach us a lot about how to convince people to change their behavior in unexpected manners. Again, this matters for a number of reasons for airlines. because a very high number of folks, more people than you probably can imagine, could be flexible with their travel plans if approached in the right manner. And passenger flexibility is very powerful. That's what we talked about. It helps airlines run a smoother operation and drive higher profits. But airlines must know how to harness this flexibility effectively to power their success. I hope you also enjoyed these examples. They're also fun to, share with other folks sometimes. I always want to make sure people are learning something here as well and not sitting through a 15-minute sales pitch. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much. If you want to contact me, my email's up here. We also have a booth. It's put together with a lot of love and a lot of hard work by some of the folks on my team. So please come by tomorrow. We have stuffed animals and other fun things designed to evoke a strong emotional response. So thank you very much. Take care.